Hi, today I'll be talking about Sony a7S III camera, the last camera that I'll be purchasing from Sony in 2 years from now. Let's talk about it. Okay, so Sony a7S III hasn't been released yet or even been announced. However, my suspicion is that it will be announced probably sometime in May or end of June. And if it does, most likely it will be released in September, if the latest December. Again, depending on the virus and how that slows down the manufacturing of this camera. But whatever the case, it will be at least a minimum of 6 months before we get this camera into the market. And for me, I'm a frugal guy, so 6 months is when it's released, but it's not the 6 month I'll be purchasing right away. In fact, I'm going to use the same strategy that I did with the Sony a7R III that I purchased. I waited about 5 months before I purchased this camera when it was first released. The reason I waited for it because I want to make sure that it didn't overheat, make sure that it was tested properly and the firmware was up to date. And on top of that, I want to make sure I can get a bargain for it. I was able to purchase this camera open box for $1,000 less than its original price, which is great because now the camera is about the same price that I purchased open box. I mean, I saved $1,000, and they just came out with the A7R IV, and so in terms of value wise, it's zoop. However, this camera is actually an amazing camera for photography, and I'm very happy with it. I actually wouldn't buy A7R4 just to replace this. I probably won't gonna be replacing this camera anytime soon for photography. However, I was waiting for the Sony a7S III. I've been waiting for almost 2 years now. I had a a7S II, actually 3 times. I bought it, sold it, bought it, sold it, and bought it, and sold it again. I couldn't make up my mind, right? The reason I sold it is because of the fact that the autofocus wasn't that great, especially for night shot. And it's claimed that Sony a7S III is great for night vision, right? Like it's able to record at night really well. But the problem with it is, autofocus is not that great. Now, actually, if you're doing film, it should be manual focus anyway. But for me, because I'm a one-man person, it'd be nice to have an autofocus that, work on his own. And so I don't need a second guy to record me or doing documentary. So it's great if they have a, autofocus similar to A9. That's what I'm hoping the a7S III will be like. In addition, 4K 60 and ability to do even 1080p for 240 frames per second, better codec, higher megabits, color signs like Venus, autofocus, like I said again, like A9 or even A9 II, and all the other perks like a bigger camera, same body as the a7R III, and so on like that, and hopefully a flip up screen, but that's okay with me too. You don't really need that. If they have it, that'd be great. So I'm waiting for that. Nothing. So when I purchase something, usually, like I said, I wait about 6 months after it's released, and then I'll find a bargain for it, either open box or hopefully somebody didn't like it and they sell it as used, and then I can save about $1,000 or more. Okay, so that's my strategy. Now, I said that it's my last camera because I already have a lot of Sony cameras. Now, I would have gone with Panasonic or Fujifilm, but the thing is, I already invest a lot of money on the lens, right? I have a lot of lens from Sony, and when you're doing some kind of investment like that, I think you don't want to waste your money, and you're thinking that you trust the camera manufacturer to to be up to date with their technology. Unfortunately, Sony is a little bit slow this time around. Panasonic, Fujifilm, even Canon now with their R5 is just moving forward like a light speed, while Sony is kind of like a turtle now. So it's kind of happening the opposite, where they used to be an innovator, now they're kind of like, I don't know what you call them, but yeah, they're a bit slow. But because I already invest in the lens, and I already have a couple of cameras, for example, I even have the vlog camera like the A5000, the A5100 for macro photography, and I even purchased a cinema camera from Sony, at a fraction of cost. This is the FS700R, which is an amazing camera. It can record RAW, 4K 60, 240 frames per second continuously. It can do 10-bit 422 recording and S-Log 2. So again, and also has an XLR input in there as well. So amazing cinema camera. A little bit bulky, but hey, it's a very sturdy camera. Love it. It has a screen that you can flip, so even for doing vlogging. But again, this is more for cinema camera. So again, I'm very happy. The only problem, of course, is an APS-C or Super 35 sensor, which is for low light is not as great. This is why I'm waiting for the Sony a7S III. That would pretty much complete my camera gears. Now, by the way, I don't want to put too much emphasis on the camera gear. As you can see, I have a chart right over here, and my rules is 442. In other words, 20% is designated to buying gears, right? Tools, gears. And 40% is dedicated to actually improving my skills. In other words, training, whether it's software or hardware, I need to invest my time and money in that, and that's 40%. That makes you become better videographer or photographer, an artist basically. And the other 40%, of course, is on the composition. In other words, you have to put money by hiring the right people, like for actors, the settings. You might have to rent a place. You have to travel somewhere. That's 40% of the cost, right? 40% is you for training and skills building up, and then 40% is that composition where you have to get the actor, you have to rent a place, and so on and so on. The other 20%, of course, is the gears. And if you look at the gears, I break it down even further. As you can see here, 4 different categories. One, of course, I heavily put my money currently on the gears, the camera gears, I mean, and I put little money on the lighting, which is kind of sad. But however, in my case, I'm a little bit more technical. I was able to actually, build my own lighting system. So that's why I was able to save a lot of money on the lighting system. The other part, which I need to put more money on, is the audio part, which I need to get a better audio system. I have a couple good mic, and I already have a pretty good audio recorder, but I think I would want to get Sound Devices Mix Pre 6 version 2. I think that might be next goal. And of course, the other tools, including drones. I think I have all the drones that I need to do filming, and gimbals and so on. Now, you have to know, who your audience is. So my audience is actually YouTube and Vimeo. I don't think I'm ever gonna move as high as going into like Netflix or maybe Amazon. I think they don't have as higher criteria, but I think YouTube is going to be my audience, and I want to do short film documentary through YouTube and through Vimeo. I think that's where my goal is, and if I succeed, I've done a really good job, get you guys to approve of the quality in the future of my documentary or short films. I don't know when that can happen, but that's my dream, my goal. But again, that is where I'm going to put my money in. So you can see the gear. 20%, 40% is the skills. I have to train myself. I have to learn about software and hardware. And also because of that, I should be able to think on spot. What type of lighting do I need and all that. So this comes with building up your training. And again, that you have to spend 40% of your money and time on this. The other, like I said, 40% is composition, actors, place that you need to rent and all that. So just think about my 4-4-2 rule, and that's what I would say you would want to spend your money. And this is why I said Sony a7S III camera will be my last purchase, because once I have all these gear, now you can also rent too, right? But I hate renting because to me it's kind of throwing away the money, because if you're gonna do this film, like lots of them, like I'm gonna do a lot of short films and all, or documentary and all that, right? I'd rather purchase a camera and be able to use it for 10-20 years and have no problem. I'm happy with even 1080p right now. 4K, I don't think I already have a camera that can do 4K. Most of my camera can do 4K, but I think 1080p is more than enough for me. I think the most important thing is getting a nice color science, like, you know, if Sony release a a7S III with their Venus type of color science, I'll be very happy with that. And again, I don't want to put too much emphasis on buying too many camera gears. I just want to have just the right tools to do the right effect. And so, being, you know, inspiring artist, I gotta have the tools, but I don't want to spend too much on the tools. I want to spend time on my ability to build myself, and ability to hire a professional other than myself, like actors and or place that can film, or, you know, a sound guy, or a lighting guy in the future when you have a lot more money, like, right? So that's the kind of thing that you want to think about. You don't want to put too much emphasis on camera gears. Even though they're important, but you need to know your budget. So that's why Sony a7S III will be my last purchase, and it'll be probably 2 years from now, because again, they're delayed so long that it's going to take me probably, you know, up to 2 years to get that camera. But in the meanwhile, I think I'm happy with the FS700R. I think it's an amazing camera, and the Sony a7R III. I think these two cameras already can give you that cinematic like filming. So I'll be happy, of course, with the a7S III. But Sony, if you're listening, get that going, all right? Thanks for watching EducateTube.com.